Namaste and welcome, beloved, mighty companions, to another deep look with Jesus. For his assistance, helping us get the lesson. As he says, we just have to get one. Get one lesson fully. And so let it be this one in the prayer of our hearts. Lesson 14. God did not create a meaningless world. So we start with the light of infinite being, the recognition, the holy instant, the timeless, before time began. That's really the most helpful place. I can't even speak of it. It's not really a place, but we can refer to it. It seems as though it's a place at first, because we're so used to wanting to give the light the boot out of the mind. And we need Jesus to show us how much the play of consciousness, not through the play of desire. There's no person desiring it. It's a desire to experience as though there's a person. So we start with the infinite light of being. He says, start with me. That opening. As he said, teachers of God are open. He even has to teach what open is. I can see that. To be open to everything. That's the receiving and giving and receiving as one, is that openness to everything. Rather than the pushing away of things in the mind. No, I don't want to see that. I don't want to look at that. And the willingness just to look. Okay, Jesus. God did not create a meaningless world. Yeah, that's part of wanting to pin it on somebody, isn't it? Where there's a search and form that something or someone, and in particular, God, why have you done this to me? Why have you left me? Why did the Father leave me? And you'll see that in the play of consciousness. My Father left me, and the grievance that holds. He left me in this meaningless world until we really look to see it's in the light of divine being. Did God create a meaningless world? And you can hear Jesus's answer, no, it's not possible. I was asking him, so God has no interest in a world. I was okay, and then I said, so God has no interest in consciousness. You can ask him that too. We already know this. It's helpful to be reminded. God's not interested in consciousness. David would say, God's not a respecter of persons. God is in service to totality, all that is. It's like the ladder of prayer. We start with the ladder of wanting things from God, wanting something. See, wanting our desires to be fulfilled. The play in consciousness to be fulfilled. God can't fulfill that. He can only point through Jesus where we desire something that's impossible. God did not create a meaningless world. Jesus, do I already know deep in my heart that God did not create a meaningless world? The question is, Jesus, am I willing to admit that God did not create a meaningless world? That it's impossible for God to create a meaningless world? That's what we're looking at together today. Do I desire to experience a meaningless world? To avoid the light through a meaningless world. Jesus, do I desire that? Can I ask for a miracle? Do I need a miracle on that? We don't even see where we're avoiding light. We're so used to it, so used to blaming God. The idea for today, here it is on lesson 14, though, must be important. The idea for today is, of course, the reason why a meaningless world is impossible. What God did not create does not exist. That's really the only acceptance, the full acceptance that God did not create a meaningless world. And what God did not create does not exist. Jesus, am I willing to accept that God did not create this world? And if the answer is no, you go with them until you can say yes. God did not create this world. This world's a dream. An attempt to say no. An attempt to find meaning where there's no meaning. Meaning in the meaningless. And everything that does exist as He created it. And everything that does exist exists as He created it. I even see I need Jesus to show me what true creation is. Because there's an idea that we're creators. It's not in the sense, see, it becomes an idea of that creation is to make objects. That our function is to make things in the world. And see, we need Jesus to show us what true creation is, expression of divinity. The only creation is divine expression of love exactly as it is, not depending on anything that the body does. That joy is not what a body does. That's where the real confusion lies, is that what we do with a body is creation. The only true creation is infinite love, celebrating itself as love, all that is, unceasing celebration of love. But not the love that the world knows it. Get a little here, do a little there, get love here. If I'm good, I get love. If I'm bad, I won't have love. We're always saying no to love. Trying to limit it through thought and beliefs. So we need Him to show us again what true creation is. True creation is identity. It's what we are. Otherwise, we're searching to be something through doing something, through body actions. You can ask Him, Jesus, am I trying to search for what I am through the body, through what the body does? That's what we're fighting Him for. When we say we're afraid, he'll make us do something. We're fighting to keep that sense of trying to find love in a body, when he's just pointing us beyond what a body does to identity. Like the body doesn't have to do anything for us to be love. But that's such a deeply held concept, that love can be found through a body. The body motions. And if certain body motions happen, we've experienced love. And if other body motions don't happen, we won't feel love. Love will be limited. That's all he's showing us. But that's why it really fights to not follow the prompt and uses the excuse that I'm being made to do something I don't want to do. Because if we really do want to do, and but we'll feel that the feeling will be bereft, because it's tossing the love that's already here out of the mind through the doer, the one who does. And everything that does exist as he created it. So it's the desire is not to see that everything is already as God created it, wholly, whole, and complete through these body actions and the story of a body acting, to obscure that no one's acting. There are no actors on the stage. That it's all an act. The world you see has nothing to do with reality. Let's just ask Jesus. Jesus, does the world I see have anything to do with reality? Do I know what reality is? See, we don't even know what it is. We don't even know what we're fighting him for. We didn't even know what the fight's about. That's why we absolutely need him to tell us which miracles. He's trying to tell us what the fight is about in A Course in Miracles. All the places where we duke it out with the paper tigers. We even duke it out with the book. And duke it out with which version of the Course in Miracles, and duke it out with whether it's this book or that book, and it's still duking it out. That's what we have to see. That's why he has to interpret every single sentence for us. That's how he goes, yep. To reinterpret, because of the belief that sentences have some kind of meaning to an infinite being. That they have some kind of meaning, but they're a prayer. They're a hidden prayer for hell, actually, when they're believed. We're praying for an experience of hell, and then explaining to Jesus why we don't want what he's offering us. Yes, it's going to seem, it's guaranteed to seem like God is asking you to do something you do not want to do at first. It is in the play of consciousness, that is correct. That's where that's where faith comes in, and conviction. Conviction that, as he says in A New Covenant, that what you are is more than what a body does. To place greater value in seeing the truth through his guidance than keeping the hell alive, death in the mind, death to the light, so that he can help build that trust, so you will let him take you down as far into the subconscious mind as it takes to drop the person, and let full light of divine being, full expression reveal itself in fullness full supreme happiness, exactly as is without anyone doing. To see there's no doer or no one doing. The world you see has nothing to do with reality. Jesus, am I willing to see that? He says that's seeing the dreamer of the dream, to that full admission that the world has no relationship to reality. You can ask Jesus. Does this world have any relationship whatsoever to reality? In the light of divine being, can we find that? But it's also a merciful Father that he's also showing us that he doesn't hold any for a world, for a miscreation, for the play in consciousness. There's only benevolent love that still remains. The benevolence of the Father. It is of your own making, and it does not exist. Okay, let's go deep. Feeling any contractions up the back. Wanted to look at the sentence. Jesus, am I willing to see this world as of my own making? And you'll find that too. Someone wrote in that after one of the movies, they got really sick. That's a good opportunity to look deep. You have to ask Jesus directly so you can say, is it release? But it can be a very strong contraction from not really wanting to see, usually like sickness or pain or something like that. Like Rita and I were sitting together and she was talking and she said, oh, my stomach, it was a great pointer. See, those little pain spots can be a pointer. Oh, quick, look with Jesus. Because it can be like Muji says, it's throwing stones in the bush. The subconscious mind, it seems like we're not doing it, like it's just happening. We have to see the power of consciousness to create that distraction, as we would laugh about it, that you're just getting deep with looking at Jesus at 6 a.m. when we get up and look. And it's going to be the ice cream truck playing its little song. Oh, I got to have an ice cream right now. Or pizza. Got to call for pizza delivery. Or I got to find that ex-boyfriend from 40 years ago. Or, it'll be something like that that distracts. That's why we need mighties who can see through that and just say, we can pray on it, go, okay, is this clearing? Or is this a distraction from looking? Is there something I need to see Jesus? And then we look together, we join. Join with me quickly in a moment of light to see, is that true? Is the Son of God beholding to the miscreation? So I want to look at this deeply. Jesus, is there anywhere where I'm not willing to admit this world is of my own making? Can I ask for a miracle? Is there anywhere that I'm not willing to admit the world does not exist? You can just feel it in the being, the no. I don't want to see this. And we ask for a miracle and not being willing to admit it doesn't exist. The exercises for today to be practiced with eyes closed throughout. The mind searching period should be short, a minute at most. Do not have more than 3 practice periods with today's idea unless you find them comfortable. There's such a desire to blame God for this world. It's part of the play. Jesus, do I have a desire to experience blaming God for this world? That God did something to me? I'm willing to see it. I'll ask for a miracle on that. Do not have more than 3 practice periods with today's idea. After the mind's been trained a while, you can see how simple Jesus does have to make it when you're starting out. 3 one-minute practice periods to look deeply. And he's also saying as well that this banishes the idea that it takes time to see who we are. He says, just admit the lesson's true. Now he's helping us by helping us to see energetically where we don't want the lesson to be true. We can admit the lesson's true. Unless you find them comfortable. If you do, it will be because you really understand what they're for. Okay, Jesus, I'm willing to really understand what this lesson is for. The idea for today is another step in learning to let go the thoughts that you have written on the world. Is that the whole gig, Jesus? Letting go of the thoughts I've written on the world? Can I ask for a miracle for letting go of the thoughts I've written on the world? He says you need one for that, because you would rather keep what you've written on the world. You can ask him, Jesus, would I rather keep the thoughts I've written on the world than see what's true? And see the word of God in their place. Jesus, will you help me see the word of God in the place of the words I've written on the world? It's my function in the atonement. The early steps in this exchange, which can truly be called salvation, can be quite difficult and even quite painful. Some of them will lead you directly into fear. I'm asking him, is this necessary? He's telling us it is. Because we have to be willing to face the miscreation. He says we have to stand into that miscreation, accept divine power. The fear has no power over you. He knows the miscreation is to have an experience of fear. It's a desired experience. We have to see that by looking at it directly. Consciousness, that's the dissolution of consciousness. But he's taking us through as gently as he can through these desires. Even looking at desires can start out being fearful till we say, no, I'm going to look anyway, fear, no fear. It's really standing into it. Just going, not falling for our own delusions. The early steps in this exchange, which can be truly called salvation, can be quite difficult and even quite painful. Some of them will lead you directly into fear. You will not be left there. You will go far beyond it. This is his promise. Jesus, will you take me far beyond fear? And hear the yes, the love that comes so far beyond it to see it's nothing. He says it's nothing. You'll see that it's nothing. But when we run from the fears, when we run from standing into it, We run to a whole new scenario. It still follows us, that thundercloud. You can ask Jesus. Until we stay, it's going to follow it. Beliefs follow you everywhere. It's not a new scenario. It's going to give you a different set of beliefs. Every belief is a denial of love. Every belief is an attempt to make a world that's meaningless, is a miscreation. So it's not about the place, but certain places based on his assignments are helpful to see what divine function is. You will go far beyond it. Our direction is toward perfect safety and perfect peace. You're going directly through it. It's not a place that you're going to be left. That's the ego's play, that, oh, if I look at this, I'll be stuck in dark. No. Remember, you're going in with Jesus. You're not being left alone. You're going in with your brother together to look. And it's helpful to remember the holy instant and see that. As Muji says, take your position as light. See that the light's unconcerned about any kind of darkness, any kind of thing that it would have to look at. It's totally unmoved until all those no's clear. Through the smoke, the cloud of desire for thought, everywhere the body goes, carrying that cloud, the desire for hell. Really to break the habit that heaven is a different location other than here. Yet through spirit, you may send to a different location. He can use it to unwind from the cloud. It really has to be in his guidance. You see that? Start to see it has to be through that. Is this divine expression? A great question. Is this that you're suggesting divine expression? Because we don't know what it is. We're so used to denying what divine expression is, making the untrue, the manufacture of the untrue. You will not be left there. You will go far beyond it. Our direction is toward perfect safety and perfect peace. With eyes closed, think of all the horrors in the world that cross your mind. Name each one as it occurs to you and then deny its reality. God did not create it, and so it is not real. Say, for example, God did not create that war, so it is not real. God did not create that airplane crash, so it is not real. The real beauty of this is the simplicity, because if you notice the way the ego will play with, okay, you're watching the news and there's a war, some act of terrorism. See, that implies that there's someone acting. And then Jesus dispels the whole thing. Just look at it and go, God did not create that war, so it is not real. God did not create that plane crash, so it's not real. God did not create that disaster, tsunami, and so it is not real. Suitable subjects for the application of today's idea also include anything you're afraid might happen to you. Oh, that seems like a good one, where God's going to have us do something we don't want to do. You're afraid might happen to you. Jesus asked me to do something. God did not create that, so it's not real. Or to anyone about whom you're concerned. anyone sick in the hospital. God did not create that. So it's not real. In each case, name the disaster quite specifically. Feels really helpful to be with the actual power of the lesson and just see how it does dispel these thoughts. Do not use general terms. For example, God did not create illness. Yeah, Jesus is showing how that's like a cover over. Look at a specific situation with a specific being or a specific horror. You just feel the releases with that. Just be with the release of it, the tension that goes with it. For example, do not say God did not create illness, but God did not create cancer or heart attacks or whatever may arise fear in you. This is your personal repertory of horrors at which you are looking. Show them to me, Jesus. I'm willing to see all of them. We're going to yawn them all away. Just let that deep tension that's held in the subconscious mind, the representation that it's true. So that we're out all day long at all the horrors we're perceiving, like a little dartboard. These are all little dartboard experiences. And then it's just kind of yawn to release it. These things are part of the world you see. You can ask Jesus, are these yawns when we look at this? That's just a release, and hear the yes. Those are all the no's to love being released. These things are all part of the world you see. Some of them are shared illusions, and others are part of your personal hell. Personal hell. Hashtag personal hell. I equals personal hell. Meaning equals personal hell. Another hashtag. Giving something meaning it does not have. It does not matter. What God did not create can only be in your own mind apart from his. Jesus is keeping each of these things, the attempt as real, the attempt to keep my mind apart from God's mind. We can hear his answer. Yeah, each of these is the way in which consciousness plays in fragmentation. It's a little fragment out there. And any kind of fragmentation is hell. He says, yes. Each of these is a little hell and it runs ramshod over in the underneath the level of awareness, pops up in little hell stories. What God did not create can only be in your own mind apart from his. Therefore, it has no meaning. In recognition of this fact, conclude the practice periods by repeating today's idea. God did not create a meaningless world. It's helpful to see how many places we want God to be responsible for this world. The idea for today can, of course, be applied to anything that disturbs you during the day, aside from the practice periods. Be very specific in applying it. God did not create a meaningless world. He did not specify the situation which is disturbing you, and so it is not real. It feels really helpful just to sit together and with the lesson and search our minds for any areas. Feels so helpful to go deep with these lessons. He says, yes, they're given for you. To see that you can trust me and you can trust God. That everything I offer you is beyond the idea that you have created of who you believe you are. That God could not create a fearful world, a world of vengeance and destruction. So that you can see that God only offers you what you are. That's all he can offer is who you are, which is love. He cannot create a world of lack, of what's missing, of asking you to do what you don't want to do. He doesn't know what that is. So through his benevolence, he's asked me to show you love's expression. Infinite expression of love exactly as it is. Exactly as it's given to you by the Father. So that you can see and experience directly the benevolence of the Father, being one with him. To see and honor that benevolence within yourself as all there is. Beyond the war within yourself. Beyond the desire for all this pain and suffering that would deny the Son of God all the holiness he already is. Love would have you know only love, only infinite love, that there isn't anything other than this. that you may celebrate with him always divine expression, that he holds no grievance for you for this world. That's an idea that's impossible to you. See that that's not natural. See that this idea that God could create a meaningless world is unnatural to you. See that all these grievances are unnatural to you as God made you. See that the Father offers you nothing other than who you are, which is the totality of everything. Love, infinite love. And to see in truth that you don't know anything other than that you know not of this world. You know nothing of this world, because you can only know as the Father knows, and he knows nothing of this world. Therefore, you know nothing of this world. This is love. Love does not know what labels are, meanings. It gives not meaning to meaningless things. It gives not meaning to what cannot exist. Spend no time on this. But the Father would have you spend time with him in eternity. You will forget that even miscreation exists because it's not natural to you. Miscreation is unknown to you in your natural state. You'll see that it can't happen in your natural state. You can never be apart from him. You'll see that this is impossible. You know that's impossible to be separate from him. Yet do not delay the seeing of this admission in time. Your Father made you timeless and would have you timeless. All suffering is in time. For the timeless one, it's nothing. For you, it's nothing. See that these thoughts and feelings, these are ideas, they're nothing. They have no power that you would not give them. If you give them power, they still have no power. But you would pretend that they do, and thus suffer the effects. Yet despite all of this, they have no power over you. For your Father would not have this so. You've called me and I have answered you. Love is here. Love is here. Take comfort beyond these small ideas of this world, tiny and significant compared to the power of who you are. Invest no time in these things. Amen. Namaste from San Juan Coastal of Beloveds. Thank you.